What's up, everybody? It's your boy Zach, the Celtics guy. I'm back with another video, and I'm reporting to all of you from my car because I'm actually going to head into work in about maybe 10-15 minutes. But before that, I thought I would take the time to make this video. And I wanted to get to this before it became too late to the wagon. But I thought I would just bring this up while this topic is still relevant and fresh. So, sometime last month, I think it was August, I'm going to say the 17th or 18th, I'll link it in the description, but I found out that maybe about a few weeks ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, Mark David Chapman, the guy who killed John Lennon, has been denied parole for the 11th time. That gave me a lot of joy to hear. And this comes at the same time that the Mosque shooter in New Zealand got life in prison with no possibility of parole, the first time that sentence has ever been used in New Zealand history since they abolished the death penalty there back in, I think, 1989 or something to that effect. Which I think is great. I think that gives me at least a little bit of hope of justice in the world. So 2 pieces of shit will rot in prison forever. The New Zealand mosque shooter and the guy who killed John Lennon, Mark David Chapman. 2 pieces of shit that don't deserve to breathe the same air as everybody else. I am so fucking glad that these pieces of shit are gonna rot in prison the rest of their fucking lives. Now, here's the thing about Mark David Chapman. He got 20 years to life in 1980, and he was up for parole for the first time in 2000. But ever since the year 2000, he's been denied parole every single time. Every 2 years after his first parole hearing was denied in 2000, he could apply for parole every 2 years after that. And ever since, he's been denied parole. Good. And to be honest, I honestly think that the reason that they're not letting this piece of shit out of prison is because I honestly think that the parole board in New York, which is where he was sentenced, I think they have a feeling that the minute they ever were to release Mark David Chapman would get fucking killed. He would get killed in 2 fucking seconds. Because he killed not just an innocent human being, he killed one of the world's greatest musicians. And for that, if there is a hell, may there be a special place in fucking hell for someone like him. Fucking scum of the fucking universe. You robbed the world of one of the world's best musicians. Fuck yourself for that, Mark David Chapman. Go fuck yourself. I honestly, and you know what I don't understand about this? This is another thing. Why did they only charge him with 2nd-degree murder? Why didn't they charge him with 1st-degree murder? But, I mean, okay, it kind of doesn't matter because he's never going to get out of fucking prison. Like, something tells me they are never going to let Mark David Chapman out of prison. He's been denied parole so many times now. He's up there in age. I think he's in either his 60s or his 70s. And again, you can fact check me on that when I link all of this in the description, which I will do. But I'm just very happy about this. I'm really happy to hear this news, especially in the time that New Zealand used life without parole for the first time. I mean, I know those 2 things are different, but they came at these 2 things came around the same time. So for that, it gives me a lot of joy. Gives me a lot of joy when justice in the world happens. Because a lot of times, I don't think that there is a lot of justice in this world sometimes. But when it does happen, it gives me joy. Because I believe in an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. And I might sound like a brute when I say that, but it's whatever, because they deserve the worst coming to them. Mark David Chapman deserves the worst coming to him. And I forget the guy who shot up that mosque in New Zealand. I forget his name, but him too, fuck him as well. And if Mark David Chapman got the death penalty, I'd have been totally fine with that. And if New Zealand still had the death penalty and they gave it to the mosque shooter, I would be perfectly okay with that as well. And I actually first heard it when Damien Skyfire put it up on his Facebook post, and I remember seeing that, and I was really happy to hear that. I think it doesn't matter how liberal you are. It doesn't matter how much of a bleeding heart you have. There is no fucking way on earth you can sit here and tell me for 1 second that guy does not deserve to die in prison. I don't care how liberal you are. I don't care how much of a bleeding heart you have. I don't care how much sympathy you have for the human rights of criminals, which, by the way, I don't think they have. I don't think they have human rights. I think that's fucking bullshit. They don't. They killed a bunch of innocent people for no reason at all. And may they fucking rot and fucking burn for that. So I don't care. You cannot sit there and read that story about what happened in New Zealand. You cannot sit there and tell me for 1 second that guy did not deserve anything less to rot in prison the rest of his fucking life. You cannot sit there and tell me that. Because if you argue otherwise, that guy does not deserve to, if that guy deserves to be released after what he did, then you are, I don't even know what to say. You must be fucking stupid. And look, I don't say that about a lot of opinions. Because, yeah, some people have different points of view. Some people are opposed to the death penalty, and that's fine. I happen to be for it, for the worst possible criminals. And, you know, that's just my opinion. I know many people that are against it, and that's totally fine. But for someone to die in prison for what they did, for something like this, they 100% deserve it. And if you don't think that they deserve, if you think that they deserve to walk outside of a prison after slaughtering a bunch of innocent people, then there's got to be something fucking wrong with your mindset. Or you just must be really, 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 really fucking biased. Like, you must be far, 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 far fucking left. To the point where you're so far left that it's like to a fault. Yeah, being too liberal, in my opinion, is just as bad as being too right-wing. Because, yeah, there are some people that are too right-wing. When you're too right-wing, you're like extreme. You don't believe in human rights for, like, minorities, and that's just fucked up. But if you are too liberal and you believe that every criminal deserves a fucking slap on the wrist, including murderers, like a mass murderer, or like a fucking horrible murderer like Mark David Chapman, if you think Mark David Chapman should be released, if you think that the New Zealand mosque shooter should be released, then you must be really, really, really fucking biased. Like, you must have a liberal fucking bias out your ass. And I don't care, because that's stupid. And if you want to argue otherwise, you can, and that's fine. But I'll tell you right now, there's got to be something not right with that. There isn't. Because why do they deserve anything less than to rot in prison? And you know what? The death penalty, sometimes I think, is the easy way out in some instances. I do support it in the sense of, it's like, well, you know, they're a piece of shit. They can, you know, we don't have to worry about taxpayer dollars paying for them to live in prison for God knows how long until the day they die and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, stuff like that. And I also think it's public safety, too, because there are some criminals that are just so bad that even if you gave them life, they probably would still be imminent threats in prison. You know, they could escape or, you know, whatever. But in some instances, I think it might be the easy way out. I don't know. I have a mixed opinion about it. But at the same time, I do support it in principle. But yeah, sometimes I do think it's the easy way out. Because to be honest, them rotting in prison, because a lot of people call life without parole death by incarceration. And to be honest, they suffer a lot more. Because once you're dead, you give them whatever, lethal injection, hanging, firing squad, whatever. They're just dead. Boom, they're dead. They don't have to suffer. They barely have to suffer, if anything. And I think sometimes that might be the easy way out. Letting them rot in fucking prison sometimes is the best option. Because they will actually rot, they will suffer, they will actually live with their punishment, if that makes any sense. But then, like, with the death penalty, they have to go through all these fucking different appeals and all this other shit. Like, the Boston bomber had to go through a bunch of, well, now because he's not getting the death penalty, and I know I'm getting off topic with this, but, you know, like when he's getting, like, a new trial for the death penalty because he was under a death sentence and whatnot. Now the families are going to have to be reminded of this piece of shit again. Instead of just locking him up in prison and never letting him out again, he can never appeal his sentence. Like, life without parole is permanent. That's not a sentence that can be appealed. That's not like a sentence that could be, like, appealed. That could only be overturned in, like, the most rarest of the rarest cases in, like, humanitarian grounds, or someone, like, if they find something that proves their innocence or whatever. Other than that, life without parole cannot be appealed. It's not an appeal. It's not an appealed sentence, if you know what I mean. It's not an appeal sentence. Whereas the death penalty has to be appealed time and again before the sentence is actually carried out. So, yeah. But now, anyway, I'm going to head into work now. I thought I'd just get on here and talk about those two things. Mark David Chapman not getting parole. The not getting parole again for the 11th time. The New Zealand mosque shooter getting life without parole. First time in New Zealand since they got rid of the death sentence. I think it's great. And I hope that more justice in the world prevails. I really do. And may these pieces of shit burn for what they did. Mark David Chapman, fuck you. The guy who killed all those people in New Zealand, fuck you as well. And fuck any person that kills an innocent human being for no reason at all. Because in my eyes, if you kill an innocent human being for no reason at all, you're the most wretched fucking scum on the fucking face of the earth, and you deserve every bad fucking thing that comes your way. Whether it's death by incarceration, death by hanging, or whatever, you fucking deserve it. Every bad fucking thing that comes your way, you deserve it. Fuck all of you. Anyway, this is Zach, the Celtics guy, reporting to you from my car from work, and I'll be back with more topics, more discussion soon. I definitely have another topic in the works, another video in the works, which I'll be putting out soon. And until then, this is Zach, the Celtics guy. Peace, have a nice day or night, and I'll be back with more soon. Signing off. Bye for now. Peace out.